everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of My Most Loved Fragrances. And as you can see, we have a legendary guest from the fragrance community, and it's Dava from the channel Fragrance Bros. It's a legendary channel on YouTube. I'm sure you all know it. Hello, Dava.
Hello, thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
It's really exciting, really honoured that you've taken the time out to be on the channel. So for anyone who's not familiar with the format, we ask our guests to tell us about their 5 most loved or most cherished fragrances. So the ones that mean the most to them, maybe emotional connections, stories behind them, obviously great smells too, but it's not necessarily just their top 5 smells at the moment. We want to get to know you a little bit better through the fragrances, and we always want to find out a bit about our guests outside of the fragrances too. So we'll kick off with that subject. So whereabouts in the States are you, Dava?
So I'm in Alabama, which when I talk to people that don't live in the United States, I say it's close to Florida. Because most people know a couple of states, at least Florida being one of them. And I'm on the, where my city is, Mobile, is on the coast. So if you look at the Gulf of Mexico, I'm right there.
Right. So it's kind of hot down there.
Yeah, I mean, in the summer it is. Today it's pretty temperate, but we've had a cold streak for a while. But today I think like the high is in the 50s. Well, I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's temperate. Like I can wear a short sleeve or a long sleeve shirt and be fine. But yesterday it was freezing, so it fluctuates a lot.
Freezing for you is probably a nice spring day here, but anyway. So without getting too heavy, I do always ask everyone at the moment, how are things with the sort of pandemic and all that where you are? Is how normal or otherwise is life?
For us, I mean, it's pretty normal here. I mean, there's, everyone's wearing masks and stuff like that. But I remember we were talking just before we recorded, there's such a strange juxtaposition of how crazy everything is through the media and news and even other people, and then where I live, it's pretty normal. I know some people who've had COVID, some friends of mine, and they said it sucked, but only one of them has had a really bad case. The guys that I've talked to that have had it have been I would say mild. It was like it's like the flu. No one likes the flu. But they've had pretty mild cases. I've only known one person who almost went to the hospital, so luckily he didn't have to. But fingers crossed, we haven't gotten anything so far. So everything is okay here. So
good. That's good to hear. And so where you are, sort of shops and things are open, and normal life is continuing to a large extent. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's some things that are still. There's still social distancing and masks, and some places they don't have everything open to full capacity. But yeah, for the most part, everything is pretty much open.
Excellent. Okay, glad to hear it. All right, well, let's get on to the subject of fragrances. So about the channel, of course, the Fragrance Bros channel is one of the most long-standing channels, going back to what many people think of as the glory days of the online fragrance community, I guess. A lot of us look back to the days when we didn't have so many channels to choose from like we do now, but you were there. Maybe not the first channel, but really from way back, and have just had tremendous consistent success over the years. But your channel's evolved quite a bit, and it used to be yourself and you. I think he's your brother, isn't he, Jer?
He's not my real brother. He's a long friend. So no. Some people have asked that question, and some people have kind of picked it up from just observation. Some people actually have asked if he's my brother. But no, he's not actually a real brother. He's just a friend of mine, but we knew each other back in high school, and we've always just been really good friends. So that's where that kind of rapport came from. But when I started the channel, we had, 2 people on the channel for a long time, and kind of going back and forth and kind of a conversational type of thing. And I was thinking, I had the idea of what to do, but I didn't have the name. And so I went back and forth on a couple of names, and I thought, Fragrance Brothers or Fragrance Bros was a good kind of kind of spot because it tells you what the channel is about right away, but then also kind of harkens back to like Mario Brothers, or so which is something that was dear to my heart as a kid. So that's where that kind of came from. And then since now I don't really have many guests on my channel anymore, I just kept the name just because I'm not changing it. But also too, I kind of bring it in to where we can make everyone kind of a brother or a sister, kind of a family type of thing, where everyone is there's like a camaraderie. We can talk about and discuss fragrances.
Yeah, awesome. It's a great brand name, and you've got to stick with that. And very occasionally, I think Jer has returned to the channel, but perhaps not for a while. But maybe one day we'll have a revisit. Actually, in honor of one of the classic videos that you made with him, I actually wore this one, Mont Blanc Individual, as my fragrance of the day, because I remember when I first got excited about this hobby, there was a great video that you did comparing it to Original Santal by Creed.
Yeah.
And discussing which one was better and whether it was worth spending the extra. So, you really had an influence on me back then. And if
awesome.
the videos are all still up there. If people want to revisit the old days too, they can do that, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And, that was almost 10 years ago. So obviously there's going to be some camera differences and that kind of thing. What we were recording on at the very start was just this really, I guess it's cheap now, but back then it wasn't as cheap. It was a dedicated kind of recordable webcam, kind of portable webcam type of thing, which was state of the art at the time.
Yeah.
And, now it's completely different ball game.
Yeah, it's changed, but hey, I never thought there was any issue. I thought the videos were very watchable. So yeah, definitely worth checking out, guys, if you haven't seen them. But nowadays, it's pretty much just you on the channel, and it's great to see you're still pumping out some superb stuff. Any big plans, or can you just give us a few words about sort of where you're at now with the channel and what your goals are maybe for 2021 with the channel?
With my videos especially since last year kind of slowed production down a lot, but I kind of relaxed my schedule. I was usually doing 2 videos a week for a while, but then I'm doing them kind of now just whenever I want to. But I have some videos on the way, like I have a review of the Navitus line coming up, and then I have a review of I have a couple of line reviews coming up. I have other reviews of fragrances that I've talked about before, like Triumph of Bacchus or Enclave by Voyage, Morning Chess by Wilhelm Parfumerie, different things like that. I don't know if I have really any goals this year as far as where my channel goes, but I guess I'm not as concerned about the algorithm and engagement as much as I was. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing it just now, just to have fun, I guess.
It's always got to be the first thing to get right. And we can all worry about the algorithms and stuff as much as we want, but it's pretty hard to keep them happy anyway, isn't it? So you might as well just do what makes you happy, and that usually is your best bet, I think. Yeah, definitely. The game's changed a lot, hasn't it, in over the years, and I think that there's all kinds of funny stuff going on, determining what YouTube wants us to put out and all this kind of thing. But I'm definitely kind of like you. I'd like to do well, but I'm not going to sit there analyzing metrics and things all day, because it's just not the way I like to do it. Okay, now I've got a big question which I ask all the reviewers before we get into the list, and that's: at what point, and maybe how and why, did you realize you were inordinately interested in fragrances? Have you always been that way since a kid, or did something suddenly happen?
I think so. The way that I would usually answer this question is that I had a mild interest for most of, or maybe all my life, but then it kind of ramped up later in life. So when I was younger, my dad gave me like these really cheap kind of drugstore fragrances with maybe like Old Spice, and there's another one. I think it was like English leather, and just kind of old man smells. And no offense to old men, but but those type of smells, along with like a fake type of toy shaving kit. And I remember going some places, kind of drenched in Old Spice, thinking I smelled great, and I liked it, so that was fine. And as I grew up, I would get gifts for maybe Christmas or my birthday of different fragrances. I remember especially one in high school that I got that I really liked was Nautica Competition that I wore a lot in high school. And then I don't exactly remember the specific time period, but this is a few years before I got married. And there was a girl that I wanted to impress at the time. And at that time, I was like, I really should probably get a different cologne. I don't have anything. So I went to a department store here in town, talked with some salespeople. That wasn't a pleasant experience. And I went away with Acqua di Gio, and that was fine too, So I wore that for a long time. And then I ran out of that after, however long it was. It was a long time. And had to restock on something else, but I wanted something different. And around that time, YouTube was around, but I don't think that the fragrance community there weren't many in the fragrance community. But at the time I was thinking, I'll just go on YouTube. I know there's reviews. Maybe there's reviews of fragrances. And I did find, Robes 08 or Tim Sweatcough at the time. And then Cubby, C. Formosa 4, I think is his name. Those were like the main ones at the time. And they had some suggestions of things to wear. And that kind of got me really interested in smelling a lot more things, because that kind of opened my mind and opened my eyes about everything that was out there. So I really tried a lot then. And that was when I got really interested in it. I think, we've had a lot of people come to our channels in the same way, where they see a review and that kind of what was like, wow, I didn't know that was this deep, and that's what really got them started. And that's the same with me.
Great. Yeah. Familiar story, because it was kind of the same with me, that I think I was going to re-up my normal thing at some point, but it had run out, and I thought, hang on a minute. It was Chanel Allure Homme Sport, and I thought, let's maybe up the game or change things a bit. And I thought, I wonder if there's anything about fragrances on YouTube. And lo and behold, it was a few years later, so things were a bit bigger, and it was kind of like, wow. So yeah, very good, familiar story. Okay, so let's get stuck into it, because I've waffled and prevaricated and procrastinated long enough. So we're going to go for your 5 most loved, cherished fragrances. Like I say, no big rules, so you can, who knows what curveballs Dave is going to throw us here. What's the first selection, please?
So I'm going to go with, I'll have my main 5, but I want to do 2 that I don't have kind of as runners up. And these aren't really ones that I would normally have anyway, but the 2 that are kind of runners up are Safari by Ralph Lauren and Cool Water by Davidoff. Safari was my dad's fragrance back when I was in high school. And so every time I smell it, it instantly reminds me of him. And I think he got it for Christmas one year. And I remember seeing that. I love the bottle too. It's just a really classic old school bottle. And he had that on his counter in his bathroom. And so, yeah, there's always certain memories that arise whenever I smell that. So that's just kind of a classic one. And then Cool Water, I don't remember. I think it was my brother who actually got that for Christmas, but something happened and it got everywhere in our living room for Christmas. And that was the same year that we actually got a Nintendo 64 at the time. And so I remember playing Mario 64, and the house kind of, or the room smelled like Cool Water. And that was just another pleasant memory of that. But so that was a kind of thing. And I still really like that smell. I think it smells really great. But those are kind of the 2 runners up anyway. But the first one that I have is this one right here. And this one is Original Santal. So, yeah. So Original Santal by Creed. And I actually don't have a full bottle of this. This is an old decant I got years ago. And as you can see, I'm almost out. So I've got to actually get a legit bottle sometime soon. But this one, whenever around the time my son was born, I remember thinking about how easy it is to create a scent memory on purpose. And I just remember thinking kind of philosophically about scent memories and that type of thing. And I wore this a lot around anytime we had any kind of doctor's appointment, or and about a week or two before he was born, I just wore it nonstop. And so now I wear this every time on his birthday. And so this reminds me of him. And his birthday is actually coming up in a few days. So I'll be wearing this in just a few days. So yeah, original Santal. I love it. And I love Mont Blanc individual too. And I have that one. There's just something a little bit different about the Creed version of this that I just prefer. And so yeah, Creed original Santal. I love it. How spicy it is. It's just fantastic. So that's number one on the list.
Okay, that's a great. I love those selections actually. The Safari, obviously, just a great fragrance from I think it was 1992 that was released, and pretty much the ideal pick for Dad. So
yeah,
it is a kind of a dad smell, but great bottle. And of course, Cool Water was not only everywhere in your front room, but everywhere in society in general for a while, wasn't it? But I'm just going to dip in here, and because it sounds like we could almost do an interview with you on Mario Brothers. Is this an important part of your life? Should we know about this? Are you still into it? Are they good new versions? Or
yeah, what's funny is I don't really consider myself a gamer now necessarily. I have a couple of video game systems and I'll play occasionally, but I don't have the interest like I used to, especially back in high school. But my son, he's turning 9 in just a few days. So he's like all into it right now. We got my kids a Switch, a Nintendo Switch, and we got Mario Kart. And then my brother got them a new Mario game, which is called Mario 3D, which is like a collection of Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. And so he's been playing Mario 64. So that brings up a whole lot of memories. So I'm having a lot of fun replaying Mario 64 with him. And then my daughter, she likes it too, but she likes watching him and telling him what to do more. So she has fun just doing that. So yeah.
Okay, that sounds superb. I must admit, I'm not a big gamer really, but at one very brief stage, I did have access to a Nintendo Wii. And I don't think it's the most rated version of Mario Kart, but Mario Kart Wii was hilarious fun, and I really did get quite addicted to that. You could just get so into that game. So yeah, I get it. I've actually often thought of trying to get hold of the game again, but perhaps I shouldn't invest any more time and effort in such an unproductive activity at this age. But yeah, I totally get it. They are fun, the Mario games. Okay, and of course your own pick there, original Santal, a brilliant one, and I love the idea of that thing of creating a scent memory for your son is really cool, because maybe if we all wear so many different things, then he'll never think back and think, oh, my dad always used to wear that. So you've kind of fixed that, which I think is really clever. Okay, so what's fragrance number 2, please?
Number 2 is in a similar vein as the first story, but this one is Un Jardin sur le Nil by Hermes. And this one, you can see I'm about halfway done with it. But this one I wore for a similar reason, except for my daughter. So my daughter was born about a year apart from my son. So her birthday will be in April. And so I wanted kind of a springtime scent. And around that time, I remember trying this and being blown away by just how different it smells, how fresh it is. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's on the weaker side, which is one reason why I'm missing half of it. So you kind of have to spray, 6 or more sprays of this for it to last. But I'm okay with that. But I love this. So reading back about what this is supposed to be like, there's a book called The Perfect Scent by Chandler Burr, which is an amazing book. And it's about 2 different stories. But one of the stories is about how Jean-Claude Ellena was making this. And so he was really inspired by the scent of green mangoes, unripened mangoes. And so I didn't know that until I read the book. And then smelling this, I get that kind of really green, unripe mango smell now. Kind of informs how I smell it now. But before, I got almost like a fresh, non-Christmassy Christmas tree with some citruses on top. But I really like this, and so I wore this a lot around my daughter's birth, and so yeah, for the same time. So anytime there was a doctor's appointment or a few weeks before she was born, and so yeah, now this reminds me of her now.
I love it. That's a really good choice. And some of those in that range from Hermes can be really nice. And that one is a lovely, lovely, lovely fresh scent. It's about being near the Nile. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's called A Garden on the Nile.
Yeah. That's the translation. Okay, lovely. So each of your kids will have these happy memories of two excellent, exquisite fragrances. What's number three then, please?
So number three is, I didn't know if I wanted to, okay. So I have lots of fragrances that I love, fragrances that are kind of meaningful for me. Sometimes are fragrances that I don't wear a lot, but they still have just a special memory. So this is one of those. And this one is another by Hermes. This one is Voyage d'Hermes. And I got this a couple of years after my son was born. My son was, I think he was around 1 or 2. He was 1. So it was right before my daughter was born. He was having, he had, long story short, he had an ear infection and he had some spikes and fever. And because of those spikes and fever, he would go into seizures, into these fever-induced seizures. And it was really a really scary time for us, partly because we'd never experienced this before. We had no idea what was going on. And then on top of that, we had the added stress of my daughter, my wife was about to go into labor. So, it was like, we thought, my daughter could be born any second now. And there was a whole bunch of other discussions going on at the time. And there were times when I just had to get out of the hospital, and it was around springtime. And I think it was in late March or early April time. And the hospital that we're at at the time had just a really nice park area. So I'd go out and it was a perfect day. It was like the most beautiful day in the world, which is, it was a bizarre thing to happen where you want to be outside, you want to get away, beautiful day, but then everything around you is just crazy. And so I remember wearing this around the time just to kind of pick me up. And it was a perfect scent for that. And it really kind of brightened my day at the time. So this reminds me of that, but it doesn't remind me of how scared we were. It reminds me of how bright and optimistic things can be in dire circumstances. So that's why I have this. As for the scent, it's a kind of it's a lemony, musky scent with almost like this bleachy chlorine type of overtone, and I like it a lot. It's really easy to wear, especially in the springtime. But yeah, I really like this scent. I don't wear it a whole lot, but I really enjoy it a lot. So yeah, Voyage d'Hermes.
Okay, brilliant. That's another superb choice, and yeah, great reason to pick it there. Although it was perhaps a tough time. Great that you found that moment of optimism and you associate it with that, which is what we're all about here on the show. That those kind of memories. So but yeah, if anyone's interested, check that one out. I have just tried a little decant once, and I must say it's very unique and different, but really nice. And you don't hear much about that one. So lovely choice. Thank you. Okay, what is the fourth choice?
All right. Fourth choice. Oh, and by the way, my son is fine. He doesn't have seizures anymore. so he's fine.
I assumed that had been the case. Yeah, but that is great to know. Yeah.
Get some water there. Okay, so my fourth choice is one that reminds me of my grandmother. My grandmother died a few years ago, and so this one is Astronomy Domine by Min New York. And my grandmother didn't wear this. Of course, this came out pretty recently, but there is something about this scent that reminds me exactly of her house. And I miss my grandmother. My grandmother, she was my mom's mother, and we used to go over there frequently. And I was talking about her a while back to someone and just explaining how her house, because her family had to sell their house after she died. I remember thinking about her house and how long we'd gone there and things like that. And, you know, her house had a particular smell. I think we can all kind of associate with that type of situation where you go to someone's house and they have a certain smell of their house. But this smell had just a really kind of comforting feeling to it. I actually don't know what the notes are in this scent, but it's a really interesting kind of musky, herbal, almost like a dill type of thing, but it's not pickly. But it's floral, really, really cool. But anyway, going to my grandmother's house was almost in some ways kind of going to a sanctuary at the time. We were going through some hard times when I was a kid. And I remember always wanting to go to her house because they would have either a baseball game on, or they would have like Discovery Channel where, you know, like they were filming like a cheetah hunting lion or hunting antelope or something like that on there. And my grandmother would always give us, my brother and I, she would give us some ice cream and we'd watch TV. And that would just be a fun time. And so she passed away a few years ago. I miss her a lot. And I miss her house smell. And when I got Astronomy Domine by Min New York, I was like, wow, this smells exactly like her house. And even though I don't think that she really wore fragrances a whole lot, she did have Chanel No. 5 and a couple of little, which I have her bottle of. And she had some other fragrances from Chanel, which I have those too. But I don't remember her really wearing fragrances, but this is just a really comforting type of fragrance that just has a kind of heartwarming type of appeal to it. So I really like that one a lot.
Okay, that sounds really good. I've never tried that one, so I will print the names of the fragrances up on the screen so people can definitely check out the ones we maybe haven't all heard of. That sounds really good, and if it's got that nostalgic connotation to you, that's fantastic. So we can all find out what David's grandmother's house smelled like by just going and buying that fragrance now. So that sounds brilliant. Okay, have we had 4 already? I think we have.
Yep.
So what's number 5, please?
All right. So number 5, I think will be no surprise if you follow my channel at all, and that will be Creed Green Irish Tweed. So this one is, you know, in the cool water type of realm. I would say it's better than that. This one is, you know, one of my personal favorite fragrances of all time. I wear this a lot. This one's the older bottle, and I think it's one of the best fresh scents ever made. It's just a great masculine scent. Just a stunning fragrance overall. Really green, has, you know, really clean, has kind of a soapy type of thing at the top, and then goes down more into the kind of green verbena fresh side. And then as it dries, it goes down to that ambergris sandalwood thing, which is just brilliant. But this one is one that I don't really have memories of per se, other than that smelling kind of like cool water. But this is one that I want to create memories with again. So with my kids, anytime there's like special occasions or any type of thing like that, I usually try to wear Creed for those type of things. So people ask if I have a signature scent, and you know, a lot of people who are into the hobby of fragrances say no, they don't have one because they like to wear fragrances, different fragrances in their collection. But I would definitely say that I do, and that would be this, because I try to wear it as often as I can, especially in the warmer weather. So yeah, Green Irish Tweed.
Okay, that's a superb selection, and yeah, I remember you said before that's a real kind of, yeah, the closest thing to a signature scent for you. Such a classic fragrance, that one. I think it was a 1985 release, so it's one of their oldest ones that you could still get. Yeah, and it just is really, really exquisite. The only problem is some people might smell it and say, "Oh, you're wearing cool water," but I think you and I would definitely agree that in that one there's quite noticeable differences in the sort of richness and complexity. So. I would say, you know, maybe original Santal. If you just quite like it, you might be okay with Mont Blanc individual, maybe. But if it's a green Irish Tweed that you want, I think, yeah, you should. It's one of the ones that's worth saving up for. And like you, I've got the old bottle there, which I love the black bottle design too, but I quite like it. It seems more appropriate, doesn't it? That green velvety bottle label on there. I love that. Very classy.
Yeah, I love the green on there too. I don't know why they didn't go with a dark green bottle. I know they do that. Don't they do that with Bois de Portugal?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I think it's supposed to represent some kind of a country gentleman's drinking flask or something, the black bottle or something like that. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. And I remember when I first heard of that one, it seemed such a sort of peculiarly quaint name, Green Irish Tweed. It fascinated me. But the smell was no disappointment. It smells kind of how the name makes you hope it will. It's really good stuff. So perfect signature scent choice. Okay, well, we've come to the end of our show, I guess. Thank you so much, Dave. It's an absolute thrill. I mean, really, no BS here, that you're one of the big figures in my mind of Fragcom. And so I think it's a real honor to have you on the show. I certainly would never have dreamt that I'd be interviewing you when I first started my channel. So it's been a great thrill. Really nice to speak to you, the closest thing we have to face for the first time. I hope it won't be the last time. And of course, everybody, the link to David's channel is down in the description. Go there for really, really good, reliable, exceedingly expert fragrance reviews. I always check them out, and a great reference point. There's a huge back catalogue of stuff that you can binge watch there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you having me on. I love your channel too. So this was really great.
Thank you. Everybody, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you in the next video. Remember, guys, whatever we're doing in life, let's project. Bye-bye.